Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Myers. Welcome to the Myers Detox Podcast. You can learn more about detoxification at myersdetox.com. And I started this podcast because I want to educate people about the importance of heavy metal toxicity and its underlying cause of many of your symptoms of fatigue, brain fog, sleep issues, poor libido, issues with fertility. So many health issues today that people are dealing with are caused by heavy metal toxicity. So I want to educate you about that in this podcast and what you can do about it, the testing you can do and detoxification protocols that you can do with the many, many experts that I interview on the show. Today we have my friend Danna Bowman and Ginny Mahar on the show. We're going to be talking about the thyroid testing your doctor isn't telling you about, and lots of information about what you can do to heal your thyroid, what tests your doctor should be doing but isn't typically, what kind of thyroid medication should you be on, what are the pros and cons of different types of thyroid medication, and so much good information on the show today. Because if you're feeling fatigued, depressed, maybe have anxiety, you're having trouble sleeping, you're having trouble, you're gaining weight, you're having trouble losing weight, thyroid problems, thyroid issues, hypothyroid or hyperthyroid could be at the root cause of that. So learn more about that on the show today. And I'm so thrilled. I'm so looking forward to the holidays this season. I'm going to be going to Kauai with my fiance. I recently got engaged, so it's really, really happy. My fiance's name is Mitch, and we just really have hit it off. I met him earlier this year, and we're just really, really compatible. We have the same birthday. Our birthdays are both August 5th. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but so far it seems like a really, really good thing. But we decided to go to Kauai and Hawaii for Christmas. I'm so looking forward to that. I love Hawaii, just such a healing environment, such a wonderful energy there. Everyone's so, so nice. And I'm going to be getting some fun, some vitamin D and some sun today for the holidays. So I hope you are doing something very relaxing, very stress-free, very relaxing for the holidays and spending some time with your family. And I'm going to be doing a digital detox and getting a tan. That's my plan. So today on the show, we have Danna Bowman and Ginny Mahar. Danna Bowman is the Thyroid Refresh co-founder, thyroidrefresh.com, and she's the force of nature behind Thyroid Nation and Thyroid Nation Radio. Before her Hashimoto's diagnosis, Danna was the owner of a successful event planning company and a high-intensity Zumba dance instructor. One fateful day, her adrenals crashed, her energy evaporated, and she was forced to reevaluate her high-stress lifestyle, like all of us. Danna leaned on her background in marketing and advertising to create Thyroid Nation, one of the most highly trafficked websites for expert information on thyroid health. Danna, her husband Travis, and their two children recently relocated to North Carolina. And thanks to Danna's vast network of connections, the team of experts behind Thyroid Refresh is an impressive force of love, light, and healing. The other co-founder on the show today is Ginny Mahar. She is the mom and recipe blogger formerly known as Hypothyroid Chef. After struggling with the residual symptoms of Hashimoto's for years, she embarked on her own process of adopting a thyroid-specific diet and lifestyle. Within 1 year, she restored her vitality and cut her thyroid antibodies in half. Ginny is a passionate advocate of supporting others in their journeys towards better health. Thyroid Refresh is the support platform that she wishes she had throughout her ongoing process of transforming herself from overstressed and chronically fatigued foodie to zenned out and energized health nut. She's a cordon bleu trained chef, cooking instructor, writer, and entrepreneur. She lives with her husband, son, and terrier lab mix in beautiful western Montana. You can learn more about their thyroid program at thyroidrefresh.com/thyroid30. Since you're listening to this podcast, I know you're very interested in heavy metal detoxification, and I wanted to give you a free detox checklist with the top 10 tips to detox that I've distilled after working with thousands of clients. If you want to download this absolutely free checklist, just simply go to detoxforenergy.com. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, so you guys are the founders of Thyroid Refresh. And so we're going to be talking today all about how to live a lifestyle to facilitate healthy thyroid function, because so many people have thyroid issues today. Thyroid medication is the #1 prescribed medication, and it's a big problem. So why don't you enlighten us? Why are so many people having thyroid issues today?
Well, Danna and I are thyroid patients, and what we created is a little bit unique in that it's created by thyroid patients for thyroid patients. And we lean on our advisory team of experts to offer professional, health-oriented, more medical, clinical type advice. But just speaking as a patient, one of the things that we see over and over is just how our systems are so inundated with environmental toxins, with stress, with all kinds of things that are in our food supply, ingredients that our bodies aren't designed to necessarily be able to even process. We're not getting enough sleep. It's like our systems are kind of crying out. And I feel like it's sort of a canary in the coal mine thing, maybe similar to like people having more reproductive issues, where our systems are just saying, red flag, we have to stop, pause, and really examine how we're living our lives so that we can continue to thrive and feel vibrant and, optimize our health and our thyroid health.
And I think, we have to put a balance on things, because I don't, here we were going for convenience. Everyone was, industrial revolution and here we are trying to make things go faster and make things better and more efficient. And in the process, or the meantime, we've kind of, hurt ourselves in the process. And so I think as, a society, we have to find the balance for that, because right now it's like really tipped over here, against humans feeling good and healthy and safe. And because it's in the water supply, it's in our air. It's like, you really can't escape it. And so I feel like, as a society, we kind of just went, oh, okay, we're going to go this way. And now we got to kind of like bring it back, because it's scary a little bit.
We love to research, and we try to be informed and empowered patients. And you can probably, speak to this better, but what I hear and read most often is it points to environmental toxins, as being sort of this catalyst to thyroid dysfunction. Would you agree with that, Wendy?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Fluoride blocks the production of thyroid hormones, and chlorine in the water that we're showering in, most people in the United States, that blocks thyroid hormones. It blocks iodine uptake into the thyroid, and it competes with iodine, the chlorine and fluoride and bromine. There are halogens that compete with iodine uptake in the thyroid to make our thyroid hormones. So there's a lot of things stacked against us in producing thyroid hormones. And also mercury, a huge one. Anyone eating fish, well, guess what? You're going to have lots and lots of mercury that's inhibiting thyroglobulin production. And that's, the basis of making thyroid hormones. So almost everyone has these toxins in them. So it's no surprise that so many people have thyroid issues and are prescribed thyroid medication. So for anyone listening, why don't we talk about some of the symptoms of thyroid dysfunction? So what are some of the things that people may be feeling? So if anyone's listening, they can maybe identify if perhaps they have a thyroid issue and may want to go get it checked out.
Well, for me, the biggest one was fatigue, like extreme fatigue. And I couldn't figure out why. So for me, fatigue, and of course there's like I don't know, hundreds of, symptoms, but that was the one, and brain fog, to where I felt like, what's going on? Like, what is wrong with me? I can't, and I just kind of thought it was me. I thought, well, I'm getting older or this, you kind of attribute it to that, which is another problem we face when we head to the doctor, and of course I had all the little things, but those were the big things for me: weight gain or weight issues, like I wasn't ever able to move the scale in any direction really very well. So for me, it was those three things were the key symptoms that I had.
Mm-hmm. And those are really common symptoms. And I shared all of those and more: joint pain, depression, but we are both Hashimoto's patients. Hashimoto's thyroiditis, it's autoimmune hypothyroidism. So the body is mistakenly sending out antibodies and attacking its own thyroid tissue. And I love the analogy that our resident thyroid expert, Mary Showman, makes about the thyroid being like the gas pedal in the body. So if you're hypothyroid, you don't have enough gas. If you're hyperthyroid, it's like you have too much gas. So, we focus on a audience of people who have thyroid disease in general, and those symptoms can, sort of tip one way or the other. Like someone with hyperthyroidism might have a rapid heartbeat. They might find themselves being really hot. They might be more prone to anxiety, kind of like state of being over revved, really hard to sleep, things like that. So it's sort of like a metabolic imbalance in either direction. That needle can go in either direction for people. So I think it's important just to mention, like,
right.
You can
could
be
have
having
both of those
symptoms.
Yes. You could have fatigue and brain fog and all of that, and still be, have with hyperthyroidism, you could have Graves' disease and still have the same symptoms. So they kind of overlap. That's exactly right. And one of the things I was just going to mention to you both is I have met like 3 people, or one I already knew, but no, 3 people who have both in the last 2 or 3 weeks, who have both Graves' disease and Hashimoto's.
Yes.
To hear that so, quickly or close together, it's kind of scary.
Well, and Hashimoto's patients can go from hypothyroid to hyperthyroid depending on what's happening with the antibodies, and how, what's going on is the thyroid tissue being destroyed and like releasing, all this stuff into the system that's throwing you out of whack. So
yeah, and people feel like they're going crazy. I mean, a lot of people, and as women, are more affected by this. They can really feel like they're mentally unstable, and it affects your relationships, and because you're just going back and forth, depression, anxiety, and it's not you. You're not to blame. It's just there's something biologically off in your body that needs to be addressed. So many people get referred to their mental health professionals when they're having a physical problem, because the doctors just don't know the test to do or don't know what to look for. Let's talk a little bit about that, about the correct testing that needs to be done, because so many doctors, conventional medical practitioners, when they suspect thyroid issues, they'll do a very, very simple, least expensive test called the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. Why is that not enough?
Do you want me to take that, Danna?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So the TSH test is the first test that people typically get from their MDs when they're diagnosed. And it does help indicate whether you're in a hypo or hyperthyroid state. But we really can't stress it enough that it is just the beginning. And really, you need a complete thyroid panel that also tests to see how your T3 and T4 is doing. T4 is what we're medicated with, for example, when we're hypothyroid patients. Well, is your body converting that T4 into T3, which is the active form of thyroid hormone? A doctor needs to test you for that to see, because what can happen is that a hypothyroid patient might look perfect on paper, right? The labs look perfect, but the patient is still coming in and saying, I still don't feel like myself. I'm still fatigued. I'm still waking up every day tired. I feel like my spark is going out. I'm like quoting myself here. This is kind of my story. I went through this for 4 years, and this is the common story. This is why Danna and I are so passionate about trying to help and advocate for other thyroid patients, is that that's sort of the standard of care. You get your TSH tested, maybe you're diagnosed hypothyroid, you get put on synthetic thyroid hormone, and as long as your labs look good, then, in the doctor's eyes, you are good. Anything else is the aging process, or it's all in your head, or it's your fault. There's something you're doing wrong. You need to eat less, exercise more. It's definitely can be a very emotionally frustrating, journey for thyroid patients.
And that's why we really need to be like, not just informed patients, but like passionate patients, because we can be informed, but then you can like, okay, well, I'm informed and I know that I need to ask for more than just the TSH test. I need to ask for a thyroid panel, but then people sometimes don't have that oomph for that, whatever it takes to keep moving forward with it. Let's say you go in and you ask, I need a thyroid panel. And they say, well, we're going to do the TSH. And you say, I really need the thyroid panel. And then they say, well, we're going to do the TSH. And you say, no, I really need the thyroid panel. You need to be like, passionate's just the nicest way I can say,
you
adamant.
have to put your foot down.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
Not
and
only do we have to be informed, we have to really mean it.
And if they refuse to do a full thyroid panel, it's time to look for another doctor.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, so 4 years I went through this not knowing. So, we talked about T4 and T3. Is my body even converting the medication into the active form of thyroid hormone? But there's another really important piece I want to mention before we move on from the topic of testing. And that's testing your thyroid antibodies, your TPO and TG antibodies. Which are going to indicate whether or not you have an autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's. And that is an incredibly important and empowering piece of the puzzle as a thyroid patient. My doctor, like many people's doctors, never tested me for that. I started doing my own research because for 4 years I was that patient saying, I don't feel like myself. Should I be eating differently? Should I, what am I doing wrong? I was on Weight Watchers. I was exercising 5 days a week. I couldn't drop the weight. I was tired all day, every day. I was sick for months at a time, every cold and flu season. I mean, on multiple rounds of antibiotics, like my immune system wasn't working. And every time I'd say, does this have something to do with my thyroid? Oh, no way. Your labs look fine, so you're fine. And getting that piece of information that I indeed had Hashimoto's, and then this whole world of autoimmune information opening up was so crucial in my healing and in so many other people's healings. We hear these stories every day, and there's a lot of statistics out there about how many people have Hashimoto's, and I've seen and heard as high as 97% of people with hypothyroidism in the US indeed have Hashimoto's. But so many of us don't even know that. That's crazy to me.
I want to tell a different aspect of that same story, because it just kind of dawned on me that, like you said, when you learned that you had Hashimoto's, it opened up a whole can of worms, so to speak. For me, I learned I had Hashimoto's immediately, and no can of worms was open because I wasn't an informed patient, nor was I asking questions. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there. It's not a great thing to admit right now, but this was part of my journey. I was not informed, and he didn't say it was an autoimmune disease. He said you have Hashimoto's, and basically that's hypothyroidism. So I Googled, hypothyroidism, and that's what I went on. I didn't realize, and nor did he say anything about lifestyle or food can help or exercise or any of that, kind of information that would have been very helpful. And I also had adrenal issues. So there's always a little bit more to it for me, but it didn't open, a can of worms or the door or the window or anything for me, because I was just like, okay, well, so great. Now I know. Now I'm going to take my pill and I'm going to get on the plane. I'm going to go to my Zumba convention and I'm going to be fine. Right?
Yeah. And I think no matter what diagnosis you get, you're only going to get the pill. you're only going to get thyroid hormone replacement. You're not going to get
Mm-hmm.
any education whatsoever, on, like you said, on diet or lifestyle or all the other different things that you can be doing to attempt to reverse the condition, that Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroiditis. And so let's talk a little bit about medication. And so we're certainly not medical doctors. We're not trying to advise anyone on medication, but there's some differentiations that you should know so you can be an informed patient and tell your doctor what to do. Because they love that, don't they?
They do love that. They do.
Yeah. So one thing that I found out that's really, really important to know is that, many people, if they have mercury toxicity, that if they take a T4 medication or even Nature Thyroid or a natural thyroid medication like Nature Thyroid or West Thyroid or what have you, Armor Thyroid, many people cannot convert the T4 to T3, which is the active form of the thyroid, if they have mercury toxicity. So in my opinion, I feel like a lot of people need to be on T3 specifically to bypass that whole mechanism so that they can get the active form of the thyroid that they need to have a healthy metabolism and really get their brain function back. It was just really like, for me, the light bulbs turning on. Because many people take T4 or Nature Thyroid or what have you, and they don't feel any different, and the doctor gives them more of the medication. And so that's why a lot of people, if you're taking thyroid medication, you're not getting the results, or your labs aren't correcting into the good ranges that the doctor's looking for, you may not be on the right medication.
Right. And that's really common. And there's a couple of different ways to look at it. For me, I definitely was not on the right medication. I was taking a T4 only medication in the very beginning. That's all I could get, living in another country. And so that's what I took. And that is when my door opened eventually, because I realized I wasn't getting better and I wanted to feel better. So I had to make the decision to get online and start, looking for other options, other alternatives. And then, now I'm on Nature Thyroid, and things started settling down for me once I was given both T3 and T4. But some of the people I know, which is why we're so passionate about this, really just don't get that. They don't get it. And they just think, okay, well, I'm taking my medicine, so that's for my thyroid, check. Just like I'm taking my cholesterol medicine. They don't relate it to how they feel. If you're not feeling better, then maybe you need to talk to your doctor about a different medication. Really, you should be able to, your body wants to be in homeostasis. Your body wants to feel good. Your body wants to, and it just keeps trying to do that. So,
Yeah, finding the right medication and optimizing medication is super important. And it's good to know about some of the different options out there. So, we talked about the T4, that's like the typical step one synthetic thyroid hormone. And in addition to that, there can be other just T3 only medications like Cytomel. And as Wendy was saying, that's really important and can be helpful for people who aren't converting. And then Danna mentioned she's on Nature Thyroid. That's also, a lot of people call those kinds of medications NDT, or natural desiccated thyroid. And those are brands like Nature Thyroid, Armor, and they are created from, it's like a bioidentical hormone created from the thyroid gland of pigs. And so it's got T4, T3, T2, T1. And there's a ton of people out there who absolutely swear by this, like this fixed everything. I was on levothyroxine, which is synthetic T4, or a generic, whatever, Synthroid, something like that. And then when I switched to this, all my residual symptoms went out the window. Now, I tried that, and for me, it did not work. And I'm currently taking Tyrosint, which is like a hypoallergenic synthetic T4. And I'm tinkering with it. It's been literally 2 years of just, well, what if we try this? And what if we try that? So this is a process. And for a lot of us, this is a lifelong diagnosis. So it can take some patience and, that research and tinkering, but there are a lot of options out there to choose from. And there's also the matter of getting those tests and having, a physician who is willing to look at those tests and say, where can we make things better for you here? How can we really help you feel optimal?
Yeah, because I was just going to say, I keep coming back to the fact that people, I guess we get so conditioned that you listen to your doctor and you take the pill and that's what you're doing. And that the feeling good is like, not part of the deal. Like we really have to, we have to advocate for ourselves. Like you're taking the medicine, but you want to feel good. That's the whole point.
Well, and we're trained, we're trained to just take the words of our doctors as gold and not question it. And I think everything should be questioned. I think everything should be open for discussion. And, it's part of being an empowered patient. I really feel that we have to, in the words of Molly Hamill, she's one of the other thyroid warrior goddesses that we've had, write for us. And
I love that.
Yeah, she's wonderful. And the way she puts it is, you need to learn to trust the expert within. And how many of us have gotten disconnected from that inner voice that says, like me for 4 years going, I know something's wrong, but then it gets overridden by that voice that says, well, my doctor says there's something wrong with me. I must be doing something wrong. It's not my thyroid because that's what she said. And, she wasn't a bad doctor. It was this is the standard of care, in conventional medical treatment for, hypothyroid patients. And it really took me taking the reins and doing my own research and asking some harder questions and ultimately finding a new doctor.
Yeah. And also just, you have to take into account your doctor's training. I mean, they just don't know anything about mercury. They don't know very much about toxins affecting the thyroid. They don't know about supporting lifestyle for a healthy thyroid. They don't know anything about nutrition typically. I mean, that's like probably 90% of conventional medical doctors. So you are, consulting with someone that has frankly very limited knowledge about how to get the thyroid working correctly and supporting its function. So that's what like you said, you have to trust the expert within and really, advocate yourself, get the tests that you need, put your foot down. If they won't do it, go to find a different doctor who's more relaxed. So some doctors do not want to be told what to do. They don't want to be told what tests that they should be running and things like that. And that happens. But you really have to advocate for yourself.
Oh, and one of our, really quick, I was going to say our resident thyroid expert, Mary Shellman, one of her favorite tricks of the trade is to write a note saying, okay, I just want, to say, I've asked for this test or I've asked for this medication and my doctor is not going to prescribe this to me or, give me this test or whatever. And, I sign it. And then you say, could you sign it too to the doctor and keep it in my file? She said 9 times out of 10, they'll end up doing the test or letting you try the medicine. So that's just a little trick.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right.
Well, and a really interesting detail too is like when I got when I finally asked for a full thyroid panel and I went to my doctor and I asked her to run that and she agreed to do it. And when I got the results from the nurse about a week later, she said, everything is in the normal range except your TPO antibodies are elevated. And I said, oh, so I have Hashimoto's then? And she said, yes, it's just as the doctor expected. Now, she expected it because so many people with hypothyroidism have Hashimoto's, but she didn't test me for it or educate me on it because it wouldn't have changed her treatment protocol of that synthetic T4 for, the foreseeable future for the rest of my life or until somehow my thyroid situation resolved itself, which often it doesn't.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So even though it wouldn't have changed her treatment protocol, I think, as a patient, I want people and even doctors to know it would have changed mine. It would have changed mine a lot. And knowing that and having that information, it was, after 4 years of being sick and tired and raising my newborn son, I was diagnosed right after, postpartum. I mean, I would give anything to get those 4 years back, but it was a matter of weeks from getting that information, finding a new doctor. I work with a naturopath that's been wonderful, and a matter of weeks before we found some underlying root causes. We looked at micronutrient deficiencies. We talked about, dietary changes I needed to be making, lifestyle changes, all these things. And boom, one day, especially dealing with, I had a gut dysbiosis was one of my underlying root causes. And we treated that. And it was literally from the time of starting treatment until about 48 hours later, it was like somebody flicked the light switch back on inside me after 4 years of that light switch being off. I literally got my life back. I mean, it is possible.
Yes, yes. And that's really common for women after having a child. Their adrenals and thyroid are shot, and simply because the child just takes everything out of you, all of your nutrients, all of your minerals, and it's stressful having a baby and, being awake at night and it's just a stressful kind of experience. It's hard on the body. And, many women get adrenal fatigue diagnosis and thyroid diagnosis postpartum. And that was certainly the case for me. That's, a couple years after having my child, or maybe a year after, where I realized that I was having thyroid issues and, went to my doctor and got tested. But also when people get tests and they get the results back from the doctor, you want to get those test results yourself, because how the doctor interprets them and, determining whether or not you need treatment can be very different. Because you may need treatment, you may need to change your lifestyle and get on medication if your TSH is like 3 or 4, where the doctor won't prescribe it unless the TSH is 5 or 6, where he warns that the lab ranges are out of range enough to begin treatment. So why do you want to wait to begin treatment until your thyroid is completely toast?
Right.
Why would you want to wait? Right.
Well, and when you look at the optimal ranges for conventional medicine, they're much wider than the optimal ranges for functional and integrative medicine. Mm-hmm. So, for anybody listening who's like, okay, well, this is me, what do I do? Look in your area for functional MDs, integrative MDs, osteopaths, naturopaths. Those are kind of the rocks that you want to start looking under to find a doctor who's likely to be more willing to, help you do this work of reclaiming your health, because there is a lot you can do. We're here, we're living proof,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so your TSH should be between 1 and 2, correct?
Yeah. That's generally where most people feel the best, generally. There's no set for anybody. We're all bio-individual, right? But that's generally where people feel their best. So that's kind of what the functional doctors kind of look for, right? They want it to be in between 1 and 2 somewhere. And, I have a friend who hers is less than 1 and she feels good there. So, it's all about feeling good. Your body wants to feel good. Help it.
Everyone's going to be a little bit different. We all have are unique and different set point. But if it's like TSH is 3 or above, there's no point in waiting until it's 5 or 6 to begin a treatment protocol of some type or lifestyle changes.
Right.
So why don't we talk a little bit about your program, Thyroid 30? You've created this program to teach people the best lifestyle to support optimal thyroid function. Why don't you tell us a little about that?
And to make it fun.
Yes.
That was the goal, to make it fun, because so much of what we read and hear and learn when we're on this journey is not fun and a little depressing and overwhelming to the nth degree. And so Ginny and I were like, let's try to make it fun. So that's when we came together. I'll let Ginny finish, but that was one of the main things. We wanted to help people simplify their lifestyle, their thyroid-friendly lifestyle, so that it wasn't overwhelming, and we wanted to kind of make it fun. So that's why we created Thyroid Refresh, the home site for our revolutionary, program, which is actually a game, Thyroid 30.
Yeah, we based it on like these common core tenets of a thyroid friendly lifestyle. So, we've got shelves full of books written by incredible doctors and experts. And, there's these common threads, right? Everybody has their own sort of spin, but we took the common threads like what we call them is the 8 daily rituals. So one is remember. Did you remember to take your medications and supplements? 2 is refuel. That's your diet. And, what are you eating? Are you avoiding inflammatory foods? Are you figuring out what your unique bio-individual dietary needs are and adhering to those guidelines? 3 is reactivate. So that's 10 minutes of daily movement, physical activity of some kind. 4 is repair. Did you do one thing today to support your gut health? 5 is rejuvenate. So that's, did you spend 10 minutes today on self-care or stress reduction, stress management? 6 is reduce. So did you do one thing today to reduce toxins in your body, in your diet, in your life?
Number 6 is Wendy Myers for me now.
Yeah, right.
Right. Detox.
So 7 is relish, which is where you get a point each day for checking in with your team. Players, participate on a team. They don't have to find other random people. Like, you get into the game and we have a team finder, so they can go by, often like the title of the team might give them some clues, like Hashi moms or something like that, moms with Hashimotos or things like that. So people can sort of find the right fit for them. And then the last one is recharge. And you set a sleep goal, and did you meet that sleep goal? And that's going to require that you look at your sleep habits, your sleep hygiene, things like that. So the way that we're different, there's a lot of programs out there for thyroid patients, but Danna and I wanted to, there's so much information out there about what to do. But I think what our program does differently is we answer the question of how to do it. So say somebody's working with you, Wendy, you can go in and create your own Wendy Myers, thyroid 30 detox challenge or whatever. And you can have that team be public or private. So it can be like this, open or closed experience, depending on what you're going for. And then people log in each day and they score themselves on each of these 8 daily rituals. And we're not saying you have to eat this and you have to do it this way. And step 1, it's like you take your program, you take the recommendations of your chosen expert. We do offer some guidance. We don't just, throw you out there blind.
Willy-nilly.
Right. So, a lot of us are working with people that are saying, well, you got to cut out gluten and cut out dairy, and you have to reduce your stress, and you need to prioritize your sleep, and you need to do all these things. Okay, how? That's the question that we answer. So when people go in and they score themselves on these things each day, and they connect with other people who know what it's like and are in there cheering each other on and sharing little recipes, tips. I did this workout today, or whatever it is. It's like you have that accountability, right? It provides accountability. So people are motivated to think about this stuff each day. And it was funny when we were beta testing it, my husband did it with us, and he doesn't have a thyroid issue. And he was like, it's actually, and he's such a, he's not our ideal customer.
Not at all. Not
he
the
wouldn't
avatar we
normally.
want.
I found myself really thinking about, am I going to not get any exercise today? Yeah, I wouldn't get my point today for reactivate if I don't do something, right? Or if I eat this or drink that, it's gonna ding my refuel score. So it's all about looking at our whole life picture and all of our habits and all of those little choices that add up to such powerful, big changes and results in our overall wellness. And so that's what we do. And we just had our first one last fall, and the feedback was absolutely incredible. And it was so incredibly just precious for Danna and I after all the work we put into creating this, to hear people say, this taught me so much. This changed my life. I feel like myself again. It is possible, and we have to get that expert help and guidance. We're not here it's not a medical program. We're not here to replace anyone's doctor's advice, but we're here to say, okay, you're working with someone, or you have a book that you got, or there's a program, a more clinical program you signed up for online. This is how you can implement all those recommendations successfully and sustainably, so that when the 30 days ends, it doesn't just go out the window. This is like it happens seasonally, so people can come back again and again and make like little stair steps of progress in ultimately adopting what we like to call a thyroid-friendly lifestyle.
Yeah, because you're right. When you go on the internet or you read a book, there's so much information. Do this, take that, eat this food, don't eat this food, take this supplements, and all these different things. But it's like, where do you start? And
yes.
And just Rome wasn't built in a day. When you're trying to live a detox-friendly lifestyle, or a thyroid-friendly lifestyle, or fix whatever health issue you're trying to address, you have to do things one at a time, like one step at a time. You can't fix everything in your life at once, but you do this over 30 days or a few years, and it's amazing the small incremental changes, how those turn into just feeling so much better.
And it makes you present with all of that. It makes you very present in the moment, because each day's a new day. So you get points and things for every day. And it's not about winning. It's about making progress for yourself. So it makes you have to be very present, which I think a lot of the Americans need to work on.
Well, and then you get recognized, for that participation and performance with rewards and badges and things like that. So we really tried to do something different for thyroid patients. And this is because I was using kind of a more generic, whole health program when I was going through my own intensive healing odyssey. And I say that like it's something past tense, but this is, for so many of us, it's a lifestyle, it's lifelong, and it is a lifestyle. And I was chatting with Danna. We had just connected, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do some recipes. We were talking about maybe getting some recipes up on Thyroid Nation. And I was like, I'm about to sign up for this program again. And I really wish they had something like this that was for thyroid patients. And it was like, ding, and boom.
That's it. Year and a half later.
Yeah, we just were like, we have to do this. We created the program that we wished we had as thyroid patients. And, we call it a game, but it's not Candy Crush, guys.
No, it's not Candy Crush, but it is a game, and you do get rewards and points. And we tried to make it fun like that, so you could feel the accountability. And, also it's not life or death or anything. You're not going to get shot in the game or anything like that, right? We're not playing,
Your
Clash
thyroid
of Clans or anything here, right? But yeah, we wanted to make it fun, and we wanted to make it accountable, and we wanted to make it something we wish we had.
Even if you're 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you still want those gold stars. You still want them.
Yeah, you do want the gold stars. You still want them. And we wanted to make sure people like you, Wendy, could have patients doing this program for a very affordable price if they're working with you and they're doing some detox and things like that. We wanted them to be able to bring their Wendy Myers experience onto the Thyroid 30 platform.
Yeah, well, tell us where we can do the game, play the game, and sign up.
Yeah, so we have our second wellness adventure. We have 4 a year. I guess 2019 will start the beginning, so we'll have 4 in 2019. But we will be launching our second wellness adventure in January. The doors open January 3rd. And we will have our second wellness adventure. So stop by thyroidrefresh.com. You can click on the Thyroid 30 link. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can follow along with our story. Instagram's fun, kind of like a game. No, so you can check us out all those places and be on my team. No,
great.
We have lots of great teams. It'd be great to have a Wendy team. Yeah.
Anybody can have their
anybody
own team.
can.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
We had a mother-daughter do it together who started their own team. I thought that was really sweet. And yeah.
So why don't you tell us anything that maybe we haven't discussed today in regards to thyroid health? Is there any messages you want to communicate to the listeners?
For me, it's all about baby steps and, taking it one day at a time and really not setting yourself up for failure, setting yourself up for success. So today you had an Oreo cookie and you shouldn't have, or whatever it is. Don't be like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I can't continue. Because we do that. We beat ourselves up. We're like, my diet's over. That's it. Now we're going to go have pizza. You can start over the next day. Or if it's sleep, you didn't have good sleep last night and you're like, okay, well, that's it. I tried. And, don't give up. Baby steps, micro steps really do matter.
Well, okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And everyone, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful holiday, and just such a pleasure to be able to do this podcast every week and help to educate you guys about how to make those baby steps to improve your life and your health. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week in the new year.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, Wendy.
Bye.